So what's the council think?
Oh, hey, he's got his hand raised.
Walter?
I got 100 emails today. They weren't all about this, but it's been an email day. We got a lot of emails. And the majority of the emails regarding this topic seem to be encouraging us not to endorse E2. And unless I missed it, Gary, I don't see an endorsement of any route in what's been put before us. Am I correct or incorrect?
Yes, there's no, I'll ask Bill and Les, but there was no request for the council to endorse any particular route.
I did have in one email early this morning, written before 5 o'clock, a comment that statements, I think I was the one that first said it several years ago, when people wanted to know what route I preferred. I said, I really don't care, just build something. And I think other council people may have said the same thing by now. We're all pretty well worn down about it. If the comment that was made was that it's not, I don't remember the exact word, responsible to be a city council member and not take a position on which route. I'm not totally sure I agree with that. If I were pushed and had to pick a route, I'd probably pick E2. From the Canadian border to Nevada in the past 40 years, they have moved Highway 95 up out of canyons, taken out curves, put the road up higher. And I have yet to find anybody that tells me what they've done was less safe than what was down in the bottom. I'm thinking about Horseshoe Hill. I'm thinking about Whitebird Hill. I'm thinking about Lewiston Spiral Highway no longer being in effect. I'm thinking about north of the casino up here above us toward Coeur d'Alene. I'm thinking about Lawyers Canyon. You know, they've built separated highways at higher elevations, but you know, it is Idaho, and we do have weather. I mean, I know that. That's why I drive a four-wheel drive with studded tires on it, because I drive a lot in the winter, and have driven, I don't know, a lot of miles on Highway 95. It's a lot better than it used to be when I started back in early 80s. So, I don't know, we've been kind of caught up in this, you know, endorse C3, don't endorse E2, when I'm not even sure an endorsement for a route is before us tonight.
Sue?
I was going to raise that point myself because I kept going over the letter, and generally what the council's draft letter is finding problems in the report on any route, except it's the orphan W4, which no one seems to mention. But there's been a lot of discrepancies pointed out by our staff in the letter, and also pointed out by the public in what's stated in the DEIS. And I had concerns that you know, I preferred E2 for a while because it was the only one that didn't take in Reisenhour Hill. But now that it's going to take out the part of the trailer court in the well, I'm not real wowed about that. I think what the city has said is, if you're going to do this route, then we need that to be done for city safety. If you're going to do this, if you do this other route, we need access for potential east-west Highway 8 bypass so that we could eliminate the congestion of 3rd and Main, 3rd and Washington. C3 has problems in that I don't want to see Coeur d'Alene North here. In 1981, there was one traffic light at Appleway and 95. Now you have a traffic light, how many, 11?
No, I think it's 16.
16 to get out of Coeur d'Alene? That's what I'm concerned would happen to C3. And so that would take a lot of mitigation, because that's not not just a residence where you have someone coming in, so many what do they call them? Vehicle trips per day. when you live somewhere. When it's businesses, you get lots of vehicle trips per day. And so I'm not real wowed about C3 because of the congestion, unless you somehow zoned it that it was only gonna be industrial and the speed limit was lowered. So there are problems with all the routes. At the moment, I'm leaning towards West 4 just because it doesn't take out so many houses. But as I said, the letter that the city has, I'm not willing to endorse anything right now because there's problems, any specific route, because there's problems with all of them. And I think the various commissions and various departments and city staff have laid out a lot of those problems that ITD needs to deal with. But I do agree, something safer, even with problems, none of them's perfect. So I'm endorsing this letter that we have at the moment.
With the attachments.
With the
that
attachment,
were called out. Yeah. And I know there has been some discussion too about mitigation for issues related to C3 as far as the length of that 5-lane section that was contemplated at 45 mile an hour, and some of those kinds of considerations. Yes, Gary?
Mayor, you indicated there are attachments. What attachment, are you
attachments?
indicating the map?
The letters and the other supportive materials that
Oh.
came with,
No, I was going
With
to
the
go
letter?
with the letter the draft letter.
right, and I thought that the staff memos and the letters from the various commissions were attachments to that? Is that not accurate?
Again, I hadn't anticipated that, as the committee had said, integrate those comments into the letter, so I didn't, otherwise it would have been
I
an
misunderstood
introductory
No,
letter.
the language.
Okay,
misunderstood.
I
You
misunderstood
it
too. I was just gonna say, I thought that most of the comments from Public Works Finance and from Community Development had been put in this
All
letter.
of them are.
Yeah, so I'm happy with the letter the way it is.
I saw Tim's hand next.
Yeah, I also will support this letter addressed to Adam Rush as presented in our packet.
Okay, Tom?
I was just going to say that when this came to Public Works Finance, I guess it was last week.
Did it?
My memory was that we had asked for the other city staff and commission letters to be bundled with it. That was my memory of the
We-
conversation.
Yeah,
Walter?
Yes.
we did, but staff synthesized those comments into this
Stuck
single
it all
document
into
as
the-
It is,
opposed
if you
to,
look at it, it's all
Right,
there.
well, I
as
understand that.
opposed to a one paragraph saying see attached.
Right.
think.
Yeah, okay, well, I see that, but I thought that.
I don't have a problem with what they did, because they've got the comments in there.
Yeah.
Any hands down here? Dan?
Yeah, and I don't see us as either confirming or condemning any of the routes proposed. I think that, we've basically pointed out some specific areas in the study, plus added to the, what our committees have said. I wouldn't mind saying that, having like, maybe like part 10, the, what one of those came from Sustainable Environment Commission, you might, if we could somehow, our commission set, forwarded this concern to us in that, I think we might want to say for like C, that the Fair and Affordable Housing Commission came up with this area that is of concern. Those type of things, if there was some kind of way we could add in where that came from as far as those specifics, that the specifics against is what I'm talking about.
Okay, Gary?
Yeah, you're talking about section 9, 10, 9 on page 3, 10 on page 3,
Yes.
A, B, C, and D going over to page 4. The number 9 was given by the FAHC,
Yes.
and 10 was the gleaned from the letter from the Sustainable Environment Commission. Certainly could certainly could identify that those commissions
I
stated
mean, basically,
concerns
the rest
about
of it's
that.
transportation and planning and zoning.
Yes, and they're more technical issues
Right.
than they are.
And those are more of the human issues, I guess, is what you'd say there.
If you want them identified, I can certainly do that.
Walter?
Sue made a comment about the trailer court, as did someone, I think, from the podium. And then that's in number 9.
I think there's part in 10 as well.
Is there
That's
some in-
one of the
Is there some in
discrepancies.
10 as well? Federal law precludes displacement of occupied dwellings in terms of having to mitigate it and to make replacement. The city of Moscow did this when we built the low-income housing apartments on White Avenue. Out at the dog pound, the then dog pound, there was a trailer where people were living on that property. And as part of that project, the city, help me, Gary, purchased property or obtained property for that family and moved their trailer out.
Schultz Road, to Schultz Road.
Okay, moved it out north of town, and that was a requirement of the federal funding of that project. So, yes, it will I presume if you look at the drawings and all, and I think they even say so, it will displace 2 or 3 trailers, but it's not just, you've got till Tuesday, get out of here, and the bulldozer's going through like the cartoons
Well,
do.
that's one of the discrepancies, because one of the other reports it was saying that it would basically destroy the community well. And therefore, you get like 5 or 10, we're talking more people.
I don't know about the well, but
Yeah, that's something
Yeah.
that needs to be
yeah,
clarified.
I don't know about the well, but I do know that displaced residents will be accommodated and it will be mitigated.
Anything else?
Well, my personal preference is to support the C3 route. However, I also don't like, the sprawl nature of the way it's drawn currently, and my preference would be that they restrict access on a route that would go through that, in that footprint. So the comments that I'm gonna make in a separate letter are gonna be my own, or, so it's gonna be different than, or somewhat different, or pick up a few different comments than what we submit here.
So pursuant to this discussion tonight, could we get a motion regarding this, we're getting the general drift of this, that the council is generally supportive of the memo as it's written. There was a request for some attribution of some of the information included in that memo. Yeah,
And to be clear, we're not precluding the commissions from sending in their comments. I mean, they can still send them in, right?
It's public comment.
They're in
It's
this letter.
public. They're already,
They're
no,
in this
no,
letter.
I got it. But the letters themselves are still being submitted.
No. No,
So,
what was
so Sustainable
requested-
Environment Commission is not gonna submit their letter.
No, what was requested of the commissions was to review the draft DEIS and send their comments to city council for consideration for an official comment to be sent with the official position of the city of Moscow. And that comes from the council.
No, it just seems like.
Tim, you want to put a motion forward about this memo?
I'm willing to do that. So I've reviewed the attached comments in the draft letter, and therefore I'll move that we proceed, giving direction for the preparation of the finalized letter to send to the Idaho Department of Transportation containing the city council's comments on the DEIS.
Here's Tim's motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it if you give
If-
credit where it's due.
The attribution to the various commissions. Not attaching the commissions, but the part where it says
I guess the
number
reason
9
I
came from.
didn't include that, Dan, like you had suggested, was because I think this letter's coming from Mayor Cheney and the council president. And so these, in my opinion, are from them and not, they are the letter's accumulation of all those other committees. So I'm not sure it's really that important to say that. And consequently, I didn't make it part of my motion.
Okay, so with that motion as it is, do I hear a second? Okay. Didn't hear a second. I'm amazed, I know. Walter?
I would make the identical motion that Tim made, with the exception that, and Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, that paragraphs 9 and 10 be given attribution to the commissions as opposed to the city. Do any commission comments appear elsewhere other than in 9 and 10?
Well, obviously, the Planning and Zoning Commission, Transportation Commissions vetted all of these, everything prior to number 9. And then many of the specifics were actually forwarded by Transportation and Planning and Zoning.
So maybe we should just,
But those, I consider those technical comments, like pointing out. Okay, let me do it this way, if I may.
We'll see. Okay.
Okay, I would make a motion that the letter in our packet be sent to ITD with the following changes: that paragraph 9 start with from the whatever the correct title is, Fair and Affordable Housing Commission, colon, and then the text, and then 10 from the Sustainable Environment Commission, colon, and start with A, B, C, D. That what is written right after 10 currently be dropped. That's my motion.
Second.
After 10 is
Wait, I
is
don't-
what?
I don't
What was the
think I
last
understand.
sentence you said?
What's written immediately after 10 be dropped and replaced with from the Sustainable Environment Commission, colon.
I second that.
And
wait, after
What?
10?
you're
I
gonna-
don't
your
think we
scrivener's
understand
there,
what
you're
you're-
gonna get-
Yeah, well, I'm confused by what you're saying about,
Number 10,
Yeah.
at the bottom of whatever page it is,
3.
3.
Three.
where it says the North Latah High County.
No.
Highway. Oh,
Right now, it starts with "the city is concerned."
Number 10.
Number 10,
oh, I see, there it is, okay.
that sentence be dropped, and instead, in its place, it state, the Sustainable Environment Commission, whatever I said earlier, comments from the Sustainable Environment Commission, colon, A, B, C, D. Clear as mud?
And you are suggesting that the rest of the correspondence, including the specific comments, are included, though?
Oh, yeah.
You didn't mean drop the rest of the letter. You just meant
No.
to drop the reference to the city's concern that the
Correct.
preliminary selection of alignment
Yes,
E2.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we have Walter's motion, and that's your understanding. Deanna's the
And
seconder?
I'm assuming both of you signing?
Right, and just to be clear, Tim, that Walter's signature would be representative of the city
Yeah,
council.
no,
That's
no, I
all of
understand
you.
that.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion before voting? Okay, we'll-
Scrivener error fix.
Pardon me?
Scrivener
With
error
this-
fix.
Where?
With the,
Oh, yeah, his
repair the
C3,
scrivener's error.
whatever.
I
Okay.
noted that, thank you.
We'll start this roll call vote with you, Tim.
Aye.
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 I get hung up on you not voting, Mayor. Aye.
Aye.
No, I just deliberate, I
know
I
that.
rarely vote. The motion carries.
for the voice
The motion carries, so thank you all for that, too. And thank you all for your interest in weighing in tonight on this and other issues as well.